The time is just gone 8:38 a.m. as we continue this morning. Now, the latest developments, we are looking at Western pilgrims and particularly certain countries like pilgrims from Europe, from America, and Australia who are now required to apply via a Saudi website and no longer through travel agencies. We join on the line to unpack this by the chairperson of the South African Travel and Hajj Operators Association, SATHOA. We joined by Sedick Steenkamp. Brother Sedick, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Jazakallah and salam to all the listeners as well.
Yes, Brother Siddiq, now we are talking about what is called a Hajj lottery. And Saudi Arabia has introduced these new rules, which means prospective travelers from Western countries must now book their visits through a website, a government website, rather than via travel agencies.
Yes, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. We have seen the reports coming out. We have made contact with some of our counterparts in those countries. And at that stage, there isn't enough information available as to how the system is going to work. We believe that the Matawi system is being introduced. So as you have to register and as you have to enter all your details, behind the system is the various Matawis that's going to receive the various programs. And of course, those Matawis, I believe, had been in discussion for some time already that they would work with the current travel agencies. So we don't really know exactly how the system is going to work. But of course, it is a new development from what it had been in the past. And of course, it is coming fairly late. So it's difficult to know exactly what is sitting behind the system.
Well, obviously, prospective Hujjaj either from those countries in particular must be concerned because from what we are reading and the initial assessment is this is going to be somewhat of a Hajj lottery, and people who are going to be accepted for Hajj will only find out via and automated lottery or a draw that the system will be making.
And of course, it is very concerning for Hajj if you do not know where you stand. There are challenges. I mean, if you go with your wife, your husband, your mother, your father into a system, you don't know who's going to be selected. That is a concern. I mean, there is a concern of spiritual upliftment and guidance. That is another concern. And of course, we feel it for our counterparts that, of course, they've got a whole infrastructure sitting there available to assist, their businesses. I mean, there's tremendous impact on everybody. And so we have to really see how things, pan out as we go along. And inshallah ta'ala, I can only make dua that, things work out for the better for everybody concerned.
Yes, and clearly this is a very, very late announcement that has been made with regard to this change, Brother Siddiq. And looking at, as you mentioned, the Hajj operators in those countries, and I'm sure many people, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, their Hajj was put on hold, and they saw now the opportunity we are going, so they must have contacted their Hajj operators, they must have paid their deposits, and possibly even in an advanced stage of preparation as far as the Hajj is concerned. And now at this point in time, they don't know where they stand.
Yes, it is concerning. The fact of the matter is that people who have made arrangements, I mean, we are already in the Al-Qaeda, the seats open. And, generally, I believe, people from Europe go a little bit later. But even so, I mean, you've got to have your arrangements in place. And as an operator, as you know, you don't make arrangements today. You make your arrangements from long ago to ensure that you are able to put the package on the table for prospective Hujjaj. And this must be causing difficulty as it is at the moment. And so my heart goes out not only for operators, but for the people out there. But inshallah, as we said, we reserve sort of comment in terms of let's see how the system is going to work out, and if there's going to be any improvement. And I hope, inshallah ta'ala, as I said, it works out for the better of all stakeholders. Of course, this side here in South Africa, we need to consider all the changes that's coming through and how it's going to affect us here in South Africa. And I want to just make the comment, this is why it is so important that our government gets involved and ensure that we set up things properly and legally in this country. So if any changes come through, we must be in a position to deal with it, inshallah.
Well, certainly, and I think this has been the concern in looking at where we are in South, as far or how we are seen or how we are perceived as a South African Hujjaj. Because if these rules apply to these countries in Western Europe, in America, and in Australia, is there every likelihood that these rules may apply to us in South Africa? We know. Brother Siddiq, that is not the case because we are still being treated as a Muslim country. So at this point in time, these rules don't apply, but it could clearly change.
Well, we know that when changes come through and the Saudi government make changes, they implement immediately. And so I say that we need to be proactive here in this country to make sure that we get our house in order so that if there are changes that we pull together and deal with it. So because ultimately it is in the interest of the Hujjaj that we need to work. Because, this is a spiritual journey. It is a pillar of Islam. We want to make sure that this pillar is being carried out by our Hujjaj, with peace of mind. And so in terms of logistics, we need to deal with the logistics. And the Hujjaj must deal on the spiritual side. And that's why I say that, the Hujjaj need to have peace of mind. On the operating side, we need to ensure that we facilitate a good travel for our Hujjaj, and on their side, they must concentrate on the ibadah. And it's vitally important that we get the administration right in this country. We've got a year to go, not even a year to go for next year. But there is enough time at this stage to ensure that we put matters in order here in South Africa.
Yes, and I think what is also interesting to see is from a pricing perspective, because with this new development that is impacting on the countries in Western Europe, what the Hajj Ministry is saying is we will release the packages, and this will include the price of flights and accommodation. And this also would leave Hajj operators in somewhat of a dilemma because they've already advertised their packages. They know exactly what their packages are going to cost, and also for the Hujjaj themselves, they know what they're going to be paying for Hajj. So the key issue here is those who have possibly even paid deposits, operators may have paid deposits into the kingdom as well. And we know the debacle, what had happened with COVID-19, the question of refunds. And I think at this late stage, it does appear, Brother Siddiq, that this is going to be pretty messy.
Well, yeah, again, inshallah, we make to other things work out well. But even in terms of, for Hajj having to make these arrangements themselves, in terms of organizing Hajj, there's a lot of skills, there's a lot of experience, there's a lot of knowledge that comes through from the operating fraternity. There's a lot of time being spent in ensuring things is organized smoothly. There's a lot of risk involved. And even in terms of, I'd like to understand, for example, if you go into the lottery, you have got to book a ticket, an airline ticket. These are things that's got to be available on the system. We have experienced almost this year that hotels are not always available on the system. Flights are not always available on the system. These are just practical issues that we are dealing with. And from what we've seen, we are not confident from a pricing point of view that the pricing and the packages that might appear on the system are things that for Hajj might be used to call it in South Africa or in the UK or Europe or Australia. So there's a lot of change management that has to take place at the moment, and the question is, how is it going to be done? I understand
Yes.
from a personal point of view, but in your country, that changes needs to be managed.
Also, Brother Siddiq, I see there is a comment that's come through via WhatsApp and saying, Inayat, I think this method of booking for Hajj may be more efficient by cutting out the exploitative system through agents. Just your comment on this?
I think that people might be surprised, and my comment has been to a lot of people that I actually, this the system that's now coming into place might just point out to people the value that agents are bringing to the party. Remember that we have been working, for a long time in this industry. You have the opportunity of bringing through, and I think we've seen it again here on the Umrah side. Book as an individual and compare to what you would pay for a group. I don't want to go into the debate of price, because pricing is relative. It depends entirely what you do. And this thing of this type of unfortunate comment where people say that things are exploitative. I think once you start comparing prices, if you've got something to compare it to, then you can talk about it being reasonable or exploitative or not. And the system that they are now putting in place might just point out, the value that that Hajj operators and agents in general has put in. Alhamdulillah.
Well, let's see what develops, Brother Siddiq. As always, Jazakallah for your time. We wish you well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Sedick Steenkamp with us this morning with these latest developments regarding the European countries and those in Australia and America, a new system as far as Hajj bookings are concerned. The time is just gone 10 minutes to 9. We got Itiquini Secure coming up next. Imtiaz Sayed.